Forgive the noise of the rain. I was planning on going to work out, and then this just happened as soon as I got here. So I'm gonna shoot a quick video instead. 7 different styles of working out. All right, so let's get into it. First one is CrossFit. Now I'm gonna give definitions along with all the different styles of working out too, so that way you guys have an idea of where they came from and an example of what they are. So CrossFit is really a mix. It says it in its name, but it's a mix of weightlifting and calisthenics. So it combines body movements, and you kind of see the kipping pull-ups. I don't really know where the fuck the kipping pull-ups came from. I don't think that's a good exercise at all, but it does do like handstand push-ups. They do involve calisthenic, gymnastic type movements, you know, stuff on the rings, rope climbs. Those are all gymnastic and calisthenic type movements, as well as I have it here in my notes, box jumps, snatches, you know, clean and jerks. Those are also Olympic weightlifting movements. So CrossFit, just like the name suggests, is a mixture of weightlifting and calisthenics. So that's one approach that you can go ahead and do. Next one is calisthenics. Calisthenics definition, like when I looked it up online, the definition is talking it's really, they called it gymnastic exercises. Gymnastic exercises with the purpose of learning how to have functional gymnastic strength and move your body in a graceful movement. Now, the way that we actually look at calisthenics in reality, right, that might be the definition online, but how is it actually applied in real life? How do people look at calisthenics? Calisthenics really, I think, can be defined as any kind of body workout. Any workout that involves just using your own body weight. That's calisthenics in my opinion, because you'll see that there's a lot of people who train calisthenics very differently, right? There's some people who do, like for example, Austin Dunham made a video on 6 different ways to train calisthenics. Like, it's so broad on how you can train calisthenics. So that's why I define calisthenics as just body weight workouts. That's it. But there's people who just do a shit ton of push-ups and sit-ups and just kind of high intensity like cardio training with body weight. There's people who do skill training. There's people who, which is, I think it's all kind of a form of gymnastics. Gymnastics is like all of calisthenics, and there's people who do gymnastics, for example, because if you look up calisthenics, I know I'm going on a rant here, but if you look up calisthenics, gymnastics, the word gymnastic exercises is in the definition. Gymnastics is like all of calisthenics. If you watch people who do gymnastics, you'll see that they really do kind of everything that any one of those 6 type of calisthenic people do. Calisthenics, so gymnastics is like the competitive point of calisthenics, right? Gymnastics, their whole point is just for competition. That's what they want to get good at competition. They don't really care so much about the physique. Calisthenics is more people who do this for fun, for a hobby, and they do the parts of it that they like. So maybe they like just the skill parts, right? The planches, the front levers, the arm pull-ups, and they just do those. Or maybe people just do it because they want to get in good shape and they want to look good, and they do it and they approach it with like a bodybuilder mentality, the aesthetic calisthenic bodybuilder. Or maybe they think the stuff is cool, like kind of the swinging on the bars, and it's called freestyling. You'll see bar stars do that. And it's just very similar to some of the gymnastic movements where they do the flips on the bars and stuff like that. So you'll see calisthenics is really just taking different parts of gymnastics and applying it into the way that you like it. Next up is bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is pretty self-explanatory. Using weights to strengthen your muscles and to grow your muscles. So this is just going into the gym, and bodybuilding can be applied with your own body weight as well. You can accomplish the same goal, but traditionally, when you think of bodybuilding, you think of people going in the gym, and they don't really necessarily care about functional strength or how well their muscles perform together. It's all about maximizing the muscle growth. So focusing on hypertrophy, which their style of training is going to be a little bit different, right? It's going to be 6 to 12 reps, 60 to 90 second rest break. That is bodybuilding. They're all about volume and progressive overload. So increasing the volume, increasing the progressive overload, or going really slow on the eccentric movements. These are all the different ways that you can build muscle. And that's all that they care about, right? Proper recovery time, nutrition. This is the difference between bodybuilding and some of the other things. Bodybuilding really tones into the nutrition because that's a huge key on how you look. For example, go back and look at some gymnasts, right? I'll show you somebody, I'll put him up on the screen. Niall Wilson. Niall Wilson does not eat to look good, does not train to look good. He does have a good physique, but he doesn't train. That's just purely from gymnastic training. Now I'm going to give you another guy, Jake Dalton. He does gymnastic training as well, also another Olympic gymnast. But he does pay more attention to his diet. He does eat more like a bodybuilder. He does go to the gym and pay a little bit more attention and train more like a bodybuilder. So that's to kind of give you the example that the training doesn't necessarily matter what you do, because it's all going to build muscle, but it's really huge, the diet. So bodybuilding can be applied to all, but in the traditional sense, the weight room is just the easiest to do it because that's the best way to manipulate the weights and grow that physique that you want. Next up is powerlifting. Powerlifting is, well, the definition for it is competitive weightlifting, which it didn't really make sense because weightlifting is already competitive. It's an Olympic sport. Powerlifting is 3 attempts at your maximal weight for 3 different core movements, right? Your squat, your deadlift, and your bench press. So powerlifting is all about maximizing your strength or your nervous system strength. It's not necessarily about getting bigger, putting on more muscle, looking more aesthetic, or having even functional strength. It's all about just maximizing your strength in those 3 core compound key movements. And strongman training. Strongman is actually, it's like the powerlifting side, but for functional training. So strongman training is true functional strength, which means lifting weights that you would actually use in your everyday life. So for example, bench press, squat, deadlifts, those aren't necessarily things that you're going to do on an everyday basis. Now deadlift can be, but bench press, like, not really. But some of the exercises, to give you an example, what they do in strongman training would be like lifting keg barrels or sandbags up and over their head and onto a shelf from the floor, you know, picking them up, doing the farmer's dumbbell, I don't know the correct term for it, but where they have the dumbbells to their sides and then they walk across with them really heavy. So these are all things that you'd actually do in real life. So strongman training is seeing how strong are you compared to activities that you would actually encounter in real life, right? So just because you're super strong in, for example, the power lifters, just because you're really strong, and that doesn't mean you to be the strongest when it comes down to survival. Because I'll give you a good example. Just because you can bench press double your body weight does not mean you can do a full planche. It does not translate over. Now vice versa, a full planche does translate over into very strong bench press. So certain things translate over, but not everything does. Next up is high intensity training. High intensity interval training. This is just more like an aerobic or cardiovascular kind of style training. I did this not too long ago. It's my video with pro football player down below. But anyways, it's more about cardio, flipping. It really can involve a whole bunch of different exercises. The exercise itself doesn't matter because we did a combination of a whole bunch of stuff, right? Flipping tires, shaking ropes, dumbbell bench press, box jumps, did a whole bunch of shit. But the main point was not necessarily doing your heaviest weight that you can do, or like really just a lot of volume. Very short rest breaks and intervals in between, because it's really working on your aerobic and cardiovascular system. This is a lot of what you see on the TV, like P90X, those type of things. Those would be considered high intensity interval training or HIIT cardio. Last up, we have Olympic weightlifting. Olympic weightlifting is what you see in the Olympics. So it's going to be your snatches, your clean and jerks. That one's a little bit more functional than powerlifting. They also have to be a lot more flexible than powerlifters. If you put them side by side, you'll see that weightlifters can almost do a split. Weightlifters have a lot more functionality to their strength and their body movements and in congruence with their own body. And that sums it up. Those are the 7 different types of workout styles that you can implement. All of them are good. All of them have a place. Try them all out. I kind of change, back and forth. I've done bodybuilding. I've I've done high intensity training. I'm currently doing calisthenics / gymnastics, really focusing my calisthenics to be very, very similar to a gymnastic style training. But ultimately just having fun with it. Never single any of them out. I'll try them all. But yeah, stay tuned.